We often talk about the depths that we can learn from even the simplest psukim in our Torah. Well, wait till you see the treasures that are going to come from this one simple passuk and this short piece from Rabbi Goodman.
Stay tuned. There's a gewaldige podcast. Rabbi Steve Geller does a gewaldige Zach, and that'll be coming out this week. Torah Giants on Chumash. Welcome to the weekly piece on the Parsha from Torah Giants on Chumash, written by Rabbi Rabbi Goodman. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Torah Giants on Chumash. I'm Steve Geller. This week is a first in that we have not one but two Gedolei HaTorah who are going to add to a beautiful piece from Rabbi Goodman. Rabbi Goodman spent his life collecting Sfarim, some 100 to 150 years old, as well as every beautiful commentary on the Torah that he has heard, and that collection all went into Torah Giants on Chumash. And this week is a great example. It's a piece from a very old sefer that we couldn't possibly find anywhere today.
It's a fantastic old sefer, Shiluv Amasores.
Okay, but you get the point. So let's jump right in. There are two incidents in Tanakh that are eerily similar. The story of Tamar, who married Yehuda's son Er, who refused to consummate the marriage, then dying for this evil by the hand of Hashem. Yehuda's next son Onan performed Yibum, marrying Tamar in his dead brother's place, but he too rebelled against the obligation to have a child with Tamar, and for that evil he too was killed by Hashem. Yehuda refused to allow his next son to marry Tamar, fearing he too would die. So Tamar was kept in limbo for years. In her desperation and trying to advance her own dream of having children, she dressed in unfamiliar clothing, covered her face, and went to a place she knew Yehuda would pass by. Yehuda saw her and thought she was a prostitute because she had covered her face. Yehuda had relations with her. When she asked to be paid, Yehuda said he had no money, so she asked for his coat, his staff, and his ring for collateral. Yehuda later sent a messenger to that spot to find and pay the prostitute, but she couldn't be found. Later, Tamar became pregnant, and Yehuda ruled that she had been unfaithful and condemned her to death. Before she was executed, she told her maid to bring the coat, the staff, and the ring to Yehuda and tell him, "Identify these, as the owner of these items is the father of her child." Yehuda realized his mistake, and for the embarrassment she endured, Hashem rewarded Tamar, who would go on to give birth to the line of David HaMelech. This story is eerily similar to that of Elkanah's wife Hannah. Hannah was childless and provoked by her rival, Elkanah's other wife Penina, who would make harsh comments about Hannah's inability to have children. In her desperation, Hannah went to the Mishkan in Shiloh to daven to Hashem, and while davening fervently and silently, only her lips moved, but her voice could not be heard, so Eli thought she was a drunk. Drunk and davening at the Mishkan, certainly a condemnable offense. She would explain that she was merely deep in prayer for a child, and for the embarrassment of Eli's false accusation, she was blessed by Hashem to give birth to Shmuel Hanavi. And there are volumes written about these two events. But what do they have to do with our Parsha, Lech Lecha? Well, funny you asked. When Avraham questioned who would inherit him among all the blessings that Hashem bestowed on Avraham, Hashem promised that he would indeed still have a son worthy of carrying on his holy lineage. So in that promise from Hashem, V'he'emin ba'Hashem, and Avraham put his trust in Hashem, V'yachsheveha lo tzedakah, and he thought it was to his merit. Avraham indeed had emunah and thought of this blessing as tzedakah, as charity from Hashem. The connecting tissue between these three situations are, of course, the desire to have a child. But the miracle of the Torah is how many connections exist that teach us profound lessons that we might otherwise miss, if not for our holy sages and Gedolei HaTorah. In this case, the connecting tissue between these events becomes obvious. V'he'emin ba'Hashem v'yachsheveha lo tzedakah. He put his trust in Hashem, who thought it to his merit. Avraham put his trust in Hashem and thought it was charity to his merit. It turns out that the word Vayachsheveha appears only 3 times in Tanakh. You want to guess the other 2 times? Yehuda saw her, Vayachsheveha Lazona, and he thought she was a prostitute. Hannah was praying in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice could not be heard. Vayachsheveha Eli l'shikora, so Eli thought she was drunk. Through the moments of unjust humiliation, Tamar and Hannah merited having children. Rabbi Goodman quotes that old sefer Shiluv HaMasoros, who quotes the Baal HaTorah, who suggests that in our passuk, Avraham was thought to have earned his future child Yitzchak ve'emin ba'Hashem through his absolute faith, Hashem giving him tzedakah, charity, a word which also means justice. And according to the Baal HaTorah, who also states that in the context of this passuk, his father, the Rush, used the Talmudic expression, Yehe chelki mimi shechostin oso ve'ein bo. Rabbi Yossi said, may my share be with those who are suspected unjustly, since both Tamar and Chana, falsely accused of harlotry and drunkenness, respectively, were rewarded with outstanding children. But this amazing connection deserves even more color. And like Tamar and Chana, we too are blessed with two tzaddikim and Torah giants to give us more.
The Baal HaTorah doesn't want us to look for any type of mistaken suspicion in the case of Avram, which would be difficult to find anyway when you think about it, because in the other two cases, they were suspected of doing something wrong. Here, the worst case scenario is that he thinks he's not a tzaddik. It's a very different setup. Let's go back to what the Gemara says. If a person is suspected of something wrongly and endures that, so then something good comes out of that for him. So the second part of the sentence, something good comes out of that for him, is referred to in Bayach Sheveha Lo Tzedakah. It cues in with the Bayach Sheveha, because the two cases of Tamar and Chana were cases of wrong suspicion. So those two Bayach Shevehas then link in with the third Bayach Sheveha, which is the positive outcome expressed by Bayach Sheveha Lo Tzedakah. Right, some bracha comes out of it. It's really tzedakah in the sense of bracha, because what happened with Tamar, something great comes out. That's her tzedakah, the good, the positive outcome. With Chana, she had shmor. That's the tzedakah. So it is meaning tzedakah in the sense of, something, a good blessing came. Midah keneged midah, for example, with Tamar, is that someone who's a zona, so she doesn't really bring a child into a house. It's really it's kind of outside of any framework, and Malchus is like the ultimate house. In other words, we talk about the royal house of, and therefore being suspected of being outside a house, that there would be a midah keneged midah, that the bracha is like the house, capital H of Malchus.
Rav Immanuel Bernstein Shlita shows us this beautiful concept that in this case, the three instances of Vayach Sheveha are not the same. The story with Chana and Tamar are very similar, supported beautifully by the Baal HaTorah's father, the Rush, quoting the Gemara of Rav Yossi, siding with the one who was falsely accused. Rabbi Bernstein shows us that this is not the same as the passuk with Avraham, because our passuk is teaching us something entirely different. Avraham, who establishes the lesson that Vayach Sheveha out of Vehemin Ba'Hashem is rewarded lo tzedakah, with the charity aspect of tzedakah. And with Tamar and Chana, since the Vayach Sheveha was done unjustly by Yehuda and Eli respectively, these cases were rewarded with Hashem's tzedakah in its form of justice. It's just beautiful. But my friends were doubly blessed with Rav Eytan Feiner Shlita for even more depth and beauty.
Shalom Avracha and a good Erev Shabbos to this unbelievable tzibur. Steve, share with you 3 times in Tanakh that we have such a unique, very interesting word. And of course, the Baal HaTorah, quoting his father, the Rosh, he has a wonderful approach. So, Rabbi Sam, maybe just to add another Nakuda, Birashuschem, with your permission. We know that Avram Avinu is our Av. He is Ein Korn Ovas El L'Shlosha. He is the forerunner, the starting patriarch of all of Klal Yisrael. Explains Chaim Volozhin and Rav Avram, the brother of the Gra, that all the midos that we have, everything comes into our spiritual DNA, having originated within Avram Avinu, Avram and Sarah, foreigners of Klal Yisrael, the ones who reintroduced monotheism to the world, who got Yiddishkeit off the ground, our Rosh Baalei Amuna. What do we have? 2 instances of suspecting someone of having done something wrong. And what happens? Yehuda suspects Tamar and Peretz and Zerach, the forerunners of Malchus and Nevuah. As the Shiloh Masoros points out, Malchus and Nevuah, Baal HaTorah. And what happens? Choshta Yehuda Zachsa v'Yotzim and Peretz and Zerach Yotzim Mehem Molochem Unaviyim. A Malchus and Nevuah came out of this woman because she was wrongly suspected. And then we have Eli, who was the Kohen Gadol, suspects Chana and Shmuel comes out of that. And what do we have? Eli, interesting, Kahuna Gedola, Malchus, Nevius, and Kahuna all intertwined over here. Well, it's going to have its roots. Myself is in the one, it's going to have its roots in Avram Avinu. Rabbi Sai, who is the first Melech? Who is the first Musig of Malchus in Klal Yisrael? Before Yehuda becomes the Melech, who introduced that concept of a father of a multitude of nations? Who is the first king? Avram Avinu Kilavam or Goynis Atich. Why is his wife called Sarah? Because she's the queen. You marry the king and you become the queen. He introduces the concept, he is the king of Klal Yisrael. Musig Malchus. Who's the first Kohen Gadol? Well, Shem was the first Kohen Gadol. He was Kohen Le'el Elyon. Comes the Gemara at the end of the third parak in the Durham Daf Lamed Beis and Beis. Chosh of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be might say Kohen Gadol from Shem. Shem messed up vis-a-vis Avram Avinu. So instead Hashem decides Kohen Gadol is going to emerge from Avram Avinu. Kohen Gadol Kahuna now belongs to Avram Avinu. Malchus Kilavam Goynis Atich belongs to Avram Avinu. And our Navi, who is our Avram Avinu, Rabbi Sai, a very geschmack. Comes Yehuda, wrongly suspecting Tamar. What happens? Malchus and Nevuah comes out of that act. And you have Eli, the Kohen Gadol, and he suspects what? Wrongly suspects Chana. And Shmuel, who is equal on a level to Moshe and Aaron, Shmuel Hanavi, comes out of that. We have Malchus, Neviah, Kohen Gedolah, all intertwined, all originating. Where's the Makar, the source of it all? The Heaven Bashem, the first Baal Emunah. The Rosh Hashanah, the Avram Avinu who believed in Vayach Shevel Lo Tzedakah. And you bet he got it all. How did he get it all? Not just having a child over here. He got it all. Malchus, Kilavam Goynis Atich. And Nevuah, yes, the Nevuah would come from him and Avram Avinu. The Navi that he was in Kahuna Gedolah is going to come from him. It all comes from him. Why? V'hem ba'Hashem Vayach Shevel Lo Tzedakah.
Remember, we started out with one very simple passuk in our parsha, and look at what Rabbi Goodman gifted us. The lesson that Avraham looked, he perceived that this promise of Hashem for a child as lo tzedakah, as charity to him, because of he'emin ba'Hashem, his perfect emunah in Hashem. This vayach sheveha became the Maisa Avos Siman Labanim, the eternal signature for Klal Yisrael to use our power of perception in this world, lo tzedakah, as all charity from Hashem. And we see that right here in our pasuk, and we hear that echoed through the rest of Tanakh and into our own lives. And I have to thank Rav Immanuel Bernstein and our Rav Eytan Feiner for their incredible generosity in helping with this channel. Rabbi Goodman's Sefer is all about celebrating the love of Torah and the love of learning, and these two Gedolei HaTorah just embody that love. So shouldn't we share that love of Torah by liking this video, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and most importantly, hit that share button to paste the link to this video into emails, Facebook, texts, WhatsApp groups, or your social media of choice. Everyone would love this beautiful piece by our amazing rabbis, and we will all be celebrating the mitzvah of Talmud Torah ourselves.